Hey, hi, hi.
Oh wow, there it is.
Yeah,
There's the all too familiar library background. I got to do that. It makes you seem more sophisticated, like you might be reading something very important after this.
yeah,
I gotta do that.
yeah. It does certainly gives me a stately glow. I have to agree.
Well, you have that anyway, Phil. You look great. New album coming out here in a few weeks. We'll get to that. But how's everything been going, man? Everything been good lately?
Everything's been fantastic. Yeah, we've been waiting for this album to drop for a while now, and we've had a lot of fun making videos for it. And this is the quiet bit, and the storm's about to start in about 2 weeks' time, and
Yep.
we hit the road.
Absolutely. And that album you're referring to, it's called Black Diamonds. It's out April 14th. And you guys just last week released a video for the song Diamonds, which
Yeah,
what a great choice. That song is so different from something the rest of the album. I mean, it's the kind of the slow, kind of the ballady type song. So wow, what was the kind of the genesis of that song? That's a really stripped down, kind of something that could have been on something from the LA Guns albums of the 80s. Really good stuff.
yeah. You're absolutely right. It is. It's an epic power ballad. Let's call it what it is because that's what it is. And it's epic and a good one. And we just knew uh, putting it together that we were onto something. And in many ways, it's reminiscent of Ballad of Jane. I think it's just lush, and yeah, so it was just another song on the record, and the record is, uh, you'll probably agree, it's every track's very different. Every
Yes.
song sounds like the same band, but it's just like we have so many different influences. But yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. It's a good song. The YouTube comments have been glowing, to say the least. It's a good feeling. We know we're not going to sell millions of copies of this record, but if we can get that kind of, not attention but emotion, I guess, from people, then we're definitely doing our job.
It's a video that's visually striking. It puts you kind of in a certain mood, and it's very stripped down. And I love the message of the song, which is kind of like we're all broken, but we're diamonds now. We all have
Right.
hope. There's hope for a better tomorrow, perhaps on a larger scale. And it's a very good message. And you're right. The comments are fantastic. Maybe Phil, you like the YouTube comments so much because at least three-fourths of them talk about how good your voice still sounds. And that is absolutely true. I mean, Phil, I feel like we don't talk about it enough. Always been one of my favorite vocalists, but when you get to be your age, not every vocalist
Yeah.
sounds as good as you. Is it luck? Is it the way you've done the productivity of the band over the past 7-8 years? I mean, what do you attribute this to?
a, a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
I'm in Vegas now, and Sebastian Bach recently moved out, and we've been getting together, and because he's such an incredible singer, I've always looked up to him vocally, and physically too. Come to think of it, he's huge. But I recently asked him if he could share a couple of warm up tapes with me,
Mm.
stuff that we both did back in the day, because we were basically just like rock machines, and we had to go out and sing every night, and that requires a lot of discipline, especially if you're sounding like Sebastian. Yeah, they're funny sounds you have to make an hour or so before you start singing, but it makes such a huge difference that if I don't do it, um, I don't sing as good that night or that session. And always before I've got something to do, I excuse myself an hour or so before and do these really hokey sounding vocal warm ups, and it served me well. It served me really well. I don't smoke, and another thing you got to watch out is holding court after a gig. You
Sure.
can't do that. And you know and God knows you've just done a great gig and everyone's sitting around having a great time. But yeah, that's the discipline of like, okay, gotta go, got a gig tomorrow. Uh, Great to see you guys. I'll see you in the morning or see you at sound check and stuff like that. Um, Goes a long, long way. There are no throat sprays or remedies or no. You know, luck. You said luck. No, I mean lucky. I guess genetically, I suppose.
Mm.
Uh, Lungs and big heart, so that you know I'm disposed for that. But I think of me, myself. I think of Sebastian. We're singing athletes, honestly.
Well put. That is exactly. I mean, the voice is a muscle, just like anything else. And you talk about Vegas, and it seems like, Phil, that people are flocking to Vegas as if it was the new Hollywood, California in the 1980s. Everybody's moving to Vegas now. What do you like
Yeah.
about it?
Well, you know, I've got to say, it's sad, but you know, LA's a shell of what
Yeah.
it used to be. You know, there's a tiny little bit left, but I just felt like the you know the vibe had gone. I'm so glad that I got to be a part of it. I mean, it's weird because I don't think anybody loved LA more than I did when I
Mhm.
first got out there. It was heaven on earth. It really, I just loved it so much. But over the years, it's tainted, it's faded, it's going in a different direction, and you know, Vegas is essentially a suburb of LA. I mean, you can get in there in like 35, 40 minutes or 4 hour drive. And so, you know, I just thought, well, I'll see how I'm going to give it a year, see if I like it. And that was getting on for like 7 or 8 years ago. And I really, clearly, I do like it.
It's I love going. I mean, it's like I always tell some of the Uber drivers there, it's like they like it. You know, there's no you know, earthquakes, there's no tornadoes,
Oh,
there's no you know, you don't have to worry about a lot of the natural disasters. It's like kind of a
yeah,
perfect spot, you know, you're kind of shielded from a lot of the
that's right.
problems.
You know, a lot of people think of Vegas as you know the Strip, and are put off by that, and fair enough, it can be, but outside of that, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour out away from the Strip, it really is a beautiful state.
I know you talked about hitting the road, and that's coming up here as you kind of unveil this some songs from this upcoming album, Black Diamonds, that will be live, of course. And one of those places, and we talked about it, LA, you're going to be back at the Whiskey here coming up. And I mean, that seems to always be such a landmark show. You guys play there at least once a year, a lot of times on New Year's or around New Year's Eve, which is just very special. That place, when you go back there, does it just kind of put you back into a place in time, or to you is it just kind of like it's just another venue kind of along the way, or does it really hold that sentiment for you?
It's a great honor every
Mhm.
time I play there, but especially when we're invited to play New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
That is, you know, that is such a compliment, and you know, we're so LA. I mean, if not us, then who? Honestly, you know. But it's still an incredible honor, and it's always a lot of fun, and just you know the history of that place. This is what separates it from other gigs. You know, talking about places, you know, like Jimi Hendrix,
Yeah.
where
The
it was
Doors.
for you know like it goes back to the late 50s, and there's just so much history there. um yeah, I know it's just another square box with a PA and a lighting rig in it, but it's more than that. It's got a vibe there that I really enjoy. The booths are still there. Essentially, it's the you know, and when we get rocking, you know, we're like mid set and we got the go girls going. I really get a vibe that must have been a lot like that, like in the 60s and 70s. And yeah, I love that place because it permits me to time travel.
Absolutely. And it permits people like me that I'm only 39, so wasn't around back then. I was born in 84, so didn't get to experience it. So when I get to go out there, and I did see you guys on a New Year's Eve out at the Whiskey with Faster Pussycat several years back, and there was something very special about that, and I'll always remember that show. But Phil, for you guys, the productivity that you and Tracy Guns have had together since reforming back in 2017, starting with The Missing Piece, now with Black Diamonds, 4 albums you guys have done together. The relationship with Frontiers, that record label has been so tremendous in producing great content from tremendous bands from your era, from up and coming bands and in between. So do you attribute kind of your relationship with them, and how important has that been when it comes to putting out this quality content year after year?
They put out a lot of stuff.
They do.
Frontiers. They sure do, no question about it. And they've put a lot of stuff of ours out. The relationship between Frontiers and the band is essentially Tracy. That they had it all dialed in before the reunion. So we just it just seems that we're on a schedule to record every 18 months, and that's okay. That's fine. As long as we have the material, we do, and he does. When I say here, that means Tracy, and it has been. It's been great, actually. I've got to say, because prior to this reunion, musically, personally, I'd gotten a bit stagnant, and there's no stagnating around Tracy Guns. He is just prolific, and if he's got to write 10 songs in a week, he will write 10 songs in a week, because he's playing guitar all day anyway. He just still there, and he calls it practicing, but he doesn't need to practice. He just enjoys it, and he'll work out some riff or create a riff and go, oh, all right, and he just puts that in his notebook and his phone, and compiles these great pieces of music, and beds for these great songs.
And there's many on this on the album Black Diamonds. I mean, I really like it. It feels like you guys are with each album continuing to reach new heights and continuing to express yourselves, and your influences come out. There's a lot of Zeppelin in this. There's like 60s garage rock. It's all in there, Phil.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'd say there's like 4 dimensions. It's got like the opening song, "You Betray," is very heavy. And that goes into our love of that kind of heavy metal, and then of course you've got a song like "Diamonds" that is completely pop, and then you get a song that is so like Zeppelin, like "Even If I Win." Is just and Tracy will tell you. I mean, it's just an amalgamation of Jimmy Page's cool little acoustic licks that he rearranged. And, the Page, those guys, they didn't invent this stuff. They just did basically what we're doing, and forgot to give other people credit for it. So people think that it's that, but it's older than that, and it's and then we'll do something like "Crying," which is like spot on, Cheap Trick, and fun. There's a good writing dynamic. It's not just Tracy. Johnny and Ace are contributing songs as well. More of a sort of a punkier stuff. If you can hear, if it's Zeppelin or it's really heavy, it's Tracy. If it's sort of like 3-chord, 3-minute power pop.
You talked about stagnation, and you kind of spoke a couple months ago about how some management changed within the band and some things had changed, and maybe you had thought about maybe kind of stepping away. I mean, as you sit now, do you feel good about where things are, and do you have like an end game in mind in any sort of way at all for how you want to kind of end things?
Yeah, I know I kind of let the cat out the bag a bit. Um, there's a lot of personal stuff goes on with a band on tour, on the
Sure.
bus, and it's we've always been like, we sort of keep it amongst ourselves, but it was a challenging time, no doubt. Just to cut to the chase, Tracy was going through a horrendous breakup with his wife, and he also has a kid. There was a kid involved, and it was challenging, big time. It was painful for him, and it was very difficult for us to be around. But he needed us to be around more than anything, and it was real intense. And we got through it. I'm glad we got through it, but there was collateral damage along the way. And I was wondering, if I was really wanted to continue with something that had become really different, and with this great album, and this great this legacy that we have, and absolute real love that we have for each other. That's what rose to the top. When it hit the darkest, when I was like, oh fuck, do I really want to? Is it going to get worse? And it didn't. It's much better now.
Good.
Everything's good, and it's a relief. But yeah, I'm not. I can't. I'd be lying if I said it didn't have its big challenges. And I'm patting myself on the back for getting through it. I'll give you one example what it was
Yeah.
like. So when I knew we had a lot of dates, I knew we had something like 40 shows, and I count them off. I go, okay, so we've done 3, we've done 5. No, Tracy goes the other way. We've got 37 more shows to do. And it's like, I don't like that mentality. I feel like, we're gaining. It's like a snowball. We get dates. I don't want it to be like this huge wall that we've got to cross. That's just the stuff, tiny stuff like that was got up my nose a bit.
I, totally, it totally makes sense. But people approach things differently. I know Tracy like lives some of the time in Denmark and travel, and I
Yeah,
know people. It's just a different vibe, and some people. I guess it's just different. But for you guys, you've always been road warriors, and people respect you for that. And you've always brought the goods. So in the end, that's what people will be expecting here as you guys hit the road this spring and summer. I know you're doing some shows, I think, with Tom Kiefer even this summer, which will be really
I
fun.
believe. Yeah, we did a whole bunch last summer, so hopefully we'll get on board with a bit, at least some of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Phil, once again, it's always such a pleasure to have you on, and thanks so much for the time.
Thank you. I love your energy, man. This is
oh,
this is anytime, anytime.
it's special because to be able to do this with people like you, this is the bands like LA Guns are the reason that I do what I do. And so this is like come full circle for me as a young fan growing up. And like I've always kind of an old soul. So
I've got stage jackets older than you, my friend.
well, send them my way. No, that's the new album. Once again, it's Black Diamonds, and it's out April 14th via Frontiers Music SLR. It is tremendous. Phil, as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and we'll do it again soon. Hope to see you out on the road this summer, my friend.
Always welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.